Sanjay Sharma ji, and thank you Oil and Gas Power.ie for giving me opportunity to speak uh, among the industry leaders. So very quick introduction of NG. You may be knowing that NG is one of the largest IPP in the world, close to 101 gigawatt plants in operation in 70 countries, and 1,50,000 employees, and close to 56 billion euro is the turnover for the company. And we operate in all the power generation sources from gas, nuclear, geothermal, solar, wind, battery storage, now EV, and green hydrogen. And NG India is present since last 20 years with the engineering and technical services arm called Tractable, and IPP arm where we develop solar and wind projects. More than 1 gigawatt of portfolio together for solar and wind, and 800 employees across India. So this is a quick introduction of NG, and today I am going to talk about wind, and we always talk about sustainability, and we know that last 10 year was very transforming year in the power sector, where both wind and solar has transformed. Solar has transformed much because it started late, but wind also has picked up with the reverse auction model, and how things are there and what are the various challenges. And let me share my slide, just a minute. Is it visible now to everyone? Slide is visible to everyone? Yeah. So quickly run through the various aspects I have covered. The sustainability, affordability, clean energy as wind energy source, technology innovation, how the global mapping is there, what is the outlook going forward for next 4 years, how the renewable energy is competitive with respect to fossil fuels in last 10 years, how the global investment has taken up, how the government push is there to increase the capacity, wind energy in India, wind potential, and the challenges, and how the renewable can be integrated together, solar, wind, battery, and other sources. So how the integration can happen, all such topics I would like to go through quickly. You know, when we talk about sustainability, all three words come together: sustainable, affordable, and clean energy. We know that as of now, 1 in 5 people is still lacking accessing energy, and 3 billion people rely on wood, charcoal, and other sources in this global map. And every year, indoor air pollution is there, and 4.3 million people are suffering on this account. Same way, the fossil fuel, which is the major contributor for the greenhouse emission and carbon dioxide emission. So the solution is to use the clean and affordable and reliable energy, focus to invest in renewable energy, and put focus on the energy saving policies. So why wind? Wind has developed in India from last more than 30 years, and now reshaping with this new auction mechanism, and from feed-in tariff to auction, and it is sustainable, it is affordable, it's a clean fuel source, no emission of gases, NOx, SOx, no emission. It is sustainable around the year based on the wind pattern. There is a PLF, and you can plan your energy based on the site. And you can do agriculture even if you install the wind farm. In between, the spaces are there, 5D, 7D, 3D, 5D. In between, the farming is possible. And moreover, wind is now cost effective. In last, from feed-in tariff to auction regime, we have seen tariff has reduced almost half, in the range of 2.5 to 3 rupees, and standard trend is 2 to 3 megawatt of wind turbines are there, which is gradually increasing, which will further reduce the cost the coming years. Farmers is benefited, community is benefited in the long run, even if and the CSR benefits are there to the communities. So when we say sustainability, there are three triple bottom line: planet, people, and profit. So in all respect, when we say planet, so it's saving 0.33 million of carbon dioxide emissions per year. For a typical 100 megawatt wind farm, we did the calculations for it, 40% PLF and 100 megawatt wind farm, close to 350 million units being generated, and 0.33 million of carbon dioxide is saved. That is directly linking with the trees. How many trees is being equivalent number of trees can be planted. So this is the saving, and 0.33 million trees can be planted for this carbon dioxide emissions. And the revenue generation and direct and indirect employment is another advantage. Close to 1,000 people are required for a wind farm of 100 to 200 megawatt capacity during construction and operation phase. So all three criteria being met, and which we can say that wind is a sustainable source. So if you see how the global addition happened in wind since last 10 years. So you see that from 198 gigawatt and close to 743 gigawatt right now, and every year it's in a positive trend. 2020 was a special year where more than 50 gigawatt was added from China due to the push from the feed-in tariff scheme completing by 2020. And despite COVID, China has added 50 gigawatt plus wind. So that is why we are able to see much progress in the installation in 2020. And the first time, the global contribution in the expenditure of wind and the investment happened in the wind. And it is more than the oil and gas investment in last year. Technology innovation is happening with larger rotor diameter machines and larger hub height machines, which is ongoing with the same basic principles. And we are able to see the capacity addition. So this is the again graph of the top 10 countries, how the global map for wind. China is leading, 52 gigawatt added last year, and followed by US, and India is number 4th in the world, and rest of the world is close to 10.8. And China is still leading by the economies of scale model and the policy driven in last year, policy driven, and ending of the feed-in tariff model. So this is the overall push for not only onshore wind, offshore wind is also growing in China and Europe. And as of today, 35 gigawatt of offshore wind is installed. So what are the technological innovation happening in the wind sector? As we know that the larger machines and taller machines to capture more energy is in a positive trend. And in India, we have seen the benchmark is close to between 2 to 3 megawatt machine size. But in global now, the trend has changed, which India will follow. 5 to 6 megawatt machine has been introduced, already introduced from GE, Nordex, Siemens Gamesa, Vestas, and recently Mengyang launched 6.2 megawatt machine. Several companies also launching smaller machines for low wind sites to cater the wind specific markets. Goldwind also is working for a low and medium wind speed machines. Now, to avoid the transportation for the longer length of tower sections, now cast in situ tower is already produced and assembled locally. The same way for blade transportation, two-piece blade design is there, and now Siemens Gamesa and other OEMs is going to follow this. So this is the technological innovation happening in the wind market. If you see the outlook for next 4 years, we are able to see that India and China and other Asia Pacific countries has more growth path when compared to the European and US market, which will be driven from the country push. Like in India, there is a government push is there. Same way in China, and the lot of wind potential is there, and which will be tapped in coming years. So how this renewable energy is now competitive with respect to fossil fuel? If you see the trend, all sources of renewable energy, be it solar, solar thermal, wind, onshore wind and offshore wind. In last 10 years, the solar PV tariff has levelized cost of electricity has dropped down around 85%. Solar thermal has come down 68%. For onshore wind, 54%, and offshore wind for 54%, and onshore wind 48%. And which has make now at par with this fossil fuel tariff. So that is why most of the we have heard that in UK now they are going to demolish all the thermal plants one by one, and mostly relying on the renewable energy sources. Only 2% of the total consumption is dependent on the thermal plants, which is going to demolish in next 3 years. Wind turbine energy cost is dependent on the wind resource assessment, project and turbine size, regulatory and fiscal framework, cost of capital, land and labor. So all such are the drivers for the levelized cost of electricity for wind. Right now, the benchmark for onshore wind, global benchmark for onshore wind is 41 USD per megawatt hour, and for offshore it's close to 79. So we in India we are able to see this benchmark, and we are in that range. India is following that global benchmark in that range of 2.5 to 3 rupees. Now tariff is there, and many of the plants are being constructed. When we see the global investment also has seen the trend in the solar and wind power. If you see, these are the two major sources where the global investment has increased in billion USD, 148 billion USD and 151 billion USD. So both are the prime focus for the entire global map. The other sources are following, but yeah, these are the two major ones. So now coming to power sector in India, how the renewable energy is there. 25% we have completed 100 gigawatt for 15th August, which is around 25% of the total installed capacity. And with this blend of wind and solar, 40 gigawatt of solar and close to 40 gigawatt of wind together makes contribute more than 80% in this capacity addition for renewable. We all know about the government push, how the government is targeting 450 gigawatt by 2030. And we are very close to achieve this 175 gigawatt target, as Sanjay Sharma ji explained, that 100 gigawatt in operation, 50 gigawatt in construction, and another in tendering. So we are in this, we have to complete maybe not 175, but maybe we'll reach close to 130 to 140 gigawatt operational capacity in coming 2 years. Overall map for wind energy in India, close to 40 gigawatt in installed capacity and 10 gigawatt in construction. About wind potential in India, close to 700 gigawatt potential is there at 120 meter up of Hawaii, and only maybe less than 10% is tapped so far. So as far as wind potential is concerned, we have not many capacity untapped, and right now most of the projects are happening in two states. One is Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, and now Karnataka, AP, and other states will follow, and we have to tap this untapped energy in the wind. For the challenges, as every sector has challenges, wind also have. So still capex per megawatt is high. Just has to. We have seen the tariff trend has reduced by 50%, but not the capex. Capex has earlier reduced, now increasing because of the steel has become costlier, and in last 3 years, a positive trend in the cost we have seen. So that is a concern, and that is pushing IPPs and EPCs to control the cost as well as the tariff, because tariff has a capping. Transmission line is the other challenge, ROW issues, because all the wind farms are located away from the city, and long distance transmission line has to be built. Wind resource assessment is one of the challenges, where we have the wind resource but we don't have the land, so it's vice versa. Noise pollution is there, so more acoustic nacelle and hub are required. For the wind plants impact local wildlife, we have seen birds are impacted, bats are impacted, so we used to do under part of environmental and social impact study, bird and bat study, to minimize this effect. But yes, this is impacting the wildlife, which is the cause of concern. Now we have to see that how this wind can be clubbed together with the other resources, how the wind and battery can be clubbed together, wind plus battery plus solar. Now we have seen the tenders also in last 2 years, hybrid tenders are there, and wind plus fuel cell and battery, and combination of resources. So that will drive not only that will help to save the electrical infrastructure cost, being AC side integration, and as well as the optimize the LCOE. How this RE can be integrated in transport and heating, so that is also in the coming days, policy has to be there in place, how this renewable energy can be integrated with the EV charger. Now policy is just started in the last 1 year, and as well as the thermal, either solar thermal or pure thermal, with the help of energy storage. So all together, this transport and thermal integration with RE will help to drive this capacity addition, as well as the grid stability. That is the two major concerns, as explained in the initial. So that is all about sustainability from wind and together for our resources. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay Sharma ji. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Deepak, for your brief and means information-packed presentation. You have proved that wind is sustainable in terms of the people, planet, and profit. Also, you have said wind is saving maybe 0.33 metric ton per year per 100 megawatt. At the same time, can I pose a question slightly that is related to your presentation itself?
Please.
So what is the future in India for offshore wind? Because you have just shown that the cost is $41 for the onshore wind per megawatt hour versus offshore wind is 79 per megawatt hour on the average.
Yeah.
So where our states are maybe penny wise kind of a thing, so it is almost double. Whether we will be able to sell it out or to the DISCOM already bleeding. So
yeah. So yeah, very valid question, Sharma ji. So we have seen last 3 years, India is also pushing for offshore wind, and Tamil Nadu, Dhanishkoti, and Pipavav port in Gujarat, where LIDAR installed is already there. We have more than 1.5 to 2 years of data, and lot many studies are going on, where global consultant and global companies are pushing to make this viable, and 1000 megawatt tender was also floated for offshore wind. But yes, what I personally feel that offshore wind can only be pushed with support of government. In the initial couple of years for the VGF, as started for the renewable projects. In solar, we have seen 10 years back. The same thing now, hand holding is required for offshore wind to push this, and maybe not in the first year, but after 2 or 3 years, maybe this tariff will come down, not $78 per megawatt, but yes, it will can reach to between 60 to 70 or maybe less than that after 5 years. But yes, we have to see the journey for offshore wind in coming years, and it's not a smooth ride. We have to see the challenges. Government has to push and make this viable, and not all the burden to get on the IPP side. Yeah.
So, but I see a slight difference between the solar PV journey versus this offshore wind, because the civil construction kind of a thing takes a mammoth task, time, and resources as well as money.
Correct.
Wherein in solar PV, the journey was basically based on the economies of scale only. So, yes, the prices will come down slightly, but not much. What I
Not
perceive.
much. You're right. So on one hand, the DISCOM is bleeding, and one hand you are saying 7-8 rupees tariff. So that will not work together. But in the long run, as we have seen, more than 55% PLF is there in offshore wind, and which has to be tapped. As a NG, we are doing couple of projects in Europe, and that learning we will take here in the coming years to participate in the tenders and support that learning to India.